Afrobeats festivals, the modern-day melting pots of rhythm, culture, and connection. They're not just music events. They're living, breathing celebrations of unity. When the drums hit, when the dancers move, and when the crowd erupts in joy, you realize something special is happening. Something that's breaking down borders and building bridges between people who, on paper, have nothing in common, but on the dance floor, share the same heartbeat. The global rise of Afrobeats festivals is one of the most powerful cultural shifts of our generation. What started as a niche African sound, played mostly in Lagos clubs and London lounges, has now grown into a global movement that fills stadiums, parks, and beaches across continents. From Toronto to London, from New York to Accra, from Paris to Johannesburg, Afrobeats festivals are rewriting the definition of world music, and more importantly, what it means to celebrate humanity through sound. Let's take a step back. In the early 2010s, when Afrobeats was beginning to break out internationally, there weren't many large-scale festivals dedicated to it. Artists like Wizkid, Davido, Burna Boy, and Tiwa Savage were performing in clubs or small concert halls. But as the genre gained momentum, so did the demand for larger gatherings, events that could capture the full experience of African celebration. That meant the music, the fashion, the food, and the community. Today, we have Afrobeats festivals that draw tens of thousands of people: Afro Nation, Dedi Rave, Afrofest, Afro Nation Portugal, One Africa Music Fest, and countless others popping up every year. These aren't just concerts, they're cultural summits. Each one acts as a meeting ground where Africans, Caribbeans, Latinos, Asians, and Westerners come together, not to debate differences, but to dance together. And that's the beauty of it, the unity. At an Afrobeats festival, you might see a group of Ghanaians teaching Jamaicans the Azonto. You'll see a Latina singing Burna Boy lyrics word for word. You'll see white Canadians waving Nigerian flags. You'll see men in Igbadas vibing next to women in carnival costumes. You'll see friendships formed over plantain skewers and palm wine. This is the real power of Afrobeats. It doesn't just make you move, it connects you to something deeper, something human. The rhythm transcends nationality, race, and religion. It speaks directly to the body and the soul. And when thousands of people feel that together, that's when magic happens. Toronto, for instance, has become one of the top cities for Afrobeats festivals in North America. Afrofest at Woodbine Park has been running for decades, long before Afrobeats became mainstream. It began as a way to celebrate African culture for the diaspora community. But over time, it evolved into one of the biggest multicultural events in the country, bringing in both African artists and local performers who fuse sounds from across the world. And then there's Afro Nation, the massive international festival that started in Portugal but now has versions in Miami, Ghana, and even the Caribbean. It's the gold standard for Afrobeats celebration, with stages packed with global superstars and crowds from over 90 different countries. Afro Nation shows just how far this sound has traveled. It's not just Africa's sound anymore, it's the world's rhythm. But the real magic happens in the smaller festivals too. The ones that bring communities together on a more personal level. Events like Afrofest Toronto, Jollof and Chill, Afro-Carib Fest, and countless city-based celebrations that honor the African diaspora in their own local way. These gatherings do more than entertain. They educate. They expose people to African music, dance, and creativity in a way that's accessible and joyful. For example, a young Canadian who has never been to Africa might attend an Afrobeats festival in Toronto and discover his new favorite artist, say, Asake or Rema. He might buy a plate of suya or jollof rice for the first time. He might even learn to dance to amapiano or find himself surrounded by a new community that feels like family. And that's how culture spreads, not through textbooks or lectures, but through moments of shared joy. These festivals also play a massive role in the music industry itself. They give rising artists exposure to global audiences, allowing talent from smaller African countries like Sierra Leone, Kenya, and Tanzania to share stages with Nigerian giants. They also attract Western artists who want to collaborate, learn, and immerse themselves in the Afro sound. When you see artists like Drake, Chris Brown, Ed Sheeran, or Justin Bieber collaborating with Afrobeat stars, part of that inspiration comes from the festival circuit. These are the spaces where worlds collide, where a Western producer might meet an African percussionist, where a dance crew from Jamaica might share a stage with choreographers from Ghana. And let's not forget the economic impact. Afrobeats festivals have become huge tourism boosters. They attract visitors from across the world, filling hotels, restaurants, and local businesses. Cities that host these events are realizing the value of investing in African culture, not as charity, but as innovation. The global appetite for Afrobeats has become too big to ignore, and festivals are the epicenter of that energy. But beyond the numbers, beyond the lights and stages, there's something deeply spiritual about what these festivals represent. They're proof that African culture, once dismissed, once sidelined, now commands global respect. They're proof that our stories, our rhythms, our dances, and our languages have power. Power to connect, power to heal, power to unite. When Burna Boy performs Last in front of 60,000 fans in London, or when Wizkid brings out Thames at Afro Nation and the crowd sings in perfect unison, that's not just entertainment. That's cultural diplomacy. That's the world celebrating Africa, not as a mystery, but as a heartbeat that keeps everything moving. Afrobeats festivals are rewriting global identity. They remind us that joy itself is political, that in a world divided by conflict, poverty, and fear, there's something revolutionary about thousands of people dancing together under the same sky. They remind us that we are connected, even when we forget it. And as Afrobeats continues to evolve, with Amapiano fusions, trap influences, and new artists emerging from the diaspora, the festivals will keep growing. They'll get bigger, more diverse, more inclusive. Because Afrobeats doesn't belong to one people anymore. It belongs to everyone who feels it, everyone who dances to it, everyone who finds a piece of themselves in its rhythm. The next time you attend an Afrobeats festival, whether in Toronto, Lagos, London, or Lisbon, look around you. See the faces, hear the laughter, feel the unity. That's the future of music right there. A future where no one asks, "Where are you from?" but instead says, "You feel that beat too." That's the beauty of Afrobeats. That's the legacy of its festivals. And that's how music, real music, brings the world together. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves Afrobeats as much as you do. Because this culture isn't just about sound. It's about people, connection, and the joy of knowing that, for a few minutes at least, the whole world can dance to the same rhythm.